Ah, great, I wasn't recording before. Right, so. Oh, really? So, what are the next jobs? What are the next jobs? Well, I've only today pulled the top end of the magneto apart. Sticking in gunk. I don't know if gunk is an international product, but gunk is just a degreaser basically. This has definitely done plenty of degreasing. This one, all this load, I'm gonna need to change that. It's minging. So I think the name of the game is get bits back together before you forget how they came apart. So I'll probably get this bit done and back together before I forget all that. There's also some adjustments that I do not want to muck up on there. I've got a manual for this thing, but it's cryptic because it covers every single Mercury from about 19 whatever 30 something through to 65, and it ain't straightforward. And because this engine's an oddball, apparently Carl Kiekhaefer, who started Mercury, he took over. He was going to get into dairy. Maybe that's worthwhile. Maybe that's a worthwhile segment. We'll do a section on the history of Kiekhaefer. Anyway, Carl Kiekhaefer, who started it, he took over a dairy farm products, filtration, I think, products company. And they had got 300 odd outboard engines in stock that had been returned by unhappy customers because they weren't right. And being an engineer, rather than just ditching them or probably didn't want to give them their money back, he took it upon himself to pull them apart and work out what was going wrong with them. Made some improvements, sold them. They went down a storm. This is 30s, I think. It's pre-war. And he then got repeat business for these outboards that he wasn't even really supposed to be building. And grabbed the opportunity, and lo and behold, they had a different name then. I will find out the name and I'll put it in another video. One of the models was a Mercury, and that became the name for the future products. So lo and behold, Mercury was born. And to my eye, looking back from a long time after the event, it seems like they became pretty much the one to beat. Evinrude was around already. I think Evinrude predated them actually. I think they go way back. More recently, in the era we're talking about, I don't think Evinrudes were a patch on Mercs, to be honest, although I'll probably get shouted at by various American people for that. But nevertheless, he ended up concentrating on outboard engines, and this came along. This was born. The block was really developed in the 50s. It was known as the Mark 58 and Mark various names, but pretty similar. It's called the Thunderbolt block. It's 40 cubic inches, whatever that is in litres. The Super Thunderbolt was 44 cubic inches. That was the sort of 50s, 60s. And nowadays, 40 horsepower is often, certainly in the last of the two-strokes, would have been two-cylinder. This is four-cylinder. Making it relatively very smooth, twin carb, electric start, electric choke, so quite nice for its time. And I have to say, you look at some of the engineering and it's so elegant compared to modern stuff. I really doubt whether in 60 years time anything that's sold today is still going to be able to be worked on, able to get spares for, etc. So there's a lot going for the simplicity and the elegance of the way they used to do things. So Kiekhaefer, he used to muck around with the serial numbers a bit. So the serial number for this one doesn't really fit with anything. When you go to look parts up, it's an oddball. I've heard that they pulled some 300s off the shelf. Oh, I know what I was going to say. So yeah, so a 40 four-cylinder. That wouldn't have been the case forever. Bearing in mind their first 60 horsepower was six-cylinder. Nowadays, a six-cylinder is probably the Yamahas are probably the 250s, I think, a six-cylinder. So these were relatively small I guess the engineering tolerances weren't the same as they are today, etc. But you know, they were quite a nice way of going about, you know, solving the problem. But Keycafer used to muck around with serial numbers as well because he didn't want the competition to know how many engines he'd sold. So therefore, I'm slightly up against it when I try to find parts, because I've actually got to try and find something that matches, where the diagram looks right as opposed to the part numbers match, because seemingly this one is a bit of an oddball and the numbers don't tally. Anyway, that's not insurmountable. But generally, it's a pretty. Yeah, the engine itself is fairly together. The compression's good. The starter motor works. I had it running as a block on the ground years ago when I was a nipper, and since then it's just sat in bits ever since. But as I said earlier, I found a brilliant guy in Holland who has managed to come up with an awful lot of the parts that I need. Not all. I'm going to try him for a couple more. And it's like the points when you can't get the points for the magneto or the distributor anymore. And I found one set in America, and they're like $70 and $50 to send them over here. And there's going to be some frustrations along the way, but generally there's not much wrong with the thing, and I'm pretty confident that I'm going to get this thing going. So back to one of the first jobs: get the magneto together before I forget, or the top end anyway. Very elegant solution, really. The slightly unusual, I suppose, in a way, because let me show you. So it's a two-stroke, so there's no valves, obviously. Not entirely, obviously, because if you look at the Evinrude E-Techs nowadays, then they are two strokes, but they have there's no oil in the combustion chamber. So in this case, there's a pulley that goes on the top, which drives the pulley here, and that's what drives the magneto. So it is timed, but it's only timed for the spark. There's no valves. Classic two-stroke. The valves, it's ports in the side, so as the pistons move up and down, they open ports, and they're all open. They're open at the same time. So what goes in, half of it goes straight out the other side. I've heard apparently why two-strokes are noisy. Anyone know this one? Why are two-strokes noisy? It's the unburnt fuel burning in the leg on the way out. How depressing is that? So they're not, they're not high tech, but they're a reasonably efficient little way of solving the problem. Lowish maintenance, easy to work on. Anyone can work on them, even me. Well, let's see if I'm successful in the end. But fairly simple little carbs, familiar from the back of your lawnmower, probably. I think there's a Tillotson carburetor. There's two of them with quite a neat little system. It's got an electric choke on it. So there's a solenoid that goes to flick the choke open, or shut rather. So points, I don't know if I'm going to, well, I'll try it with the originals, but they're a bit of a pig to change when they're on the engine, so I don't know about that one. It'd be nice to get a new set and just put it in and know that it's right from the word go. Need a few bits. I need some gaskets. I need the rubber bushing that the water pipe goes up into, which caused the original problem. Don't know if the control cables are going to be okay. I don't know if you can get them actually. I think they're alright. They used to move. So I'm going to try and get the starter motor ready to go back on. That's not going to take much. I'm going to try and get the magneto top end anyway ready to go back before I forget. I've cleaned one carb up. I've ordered a ultrasonic carb cleaner, or ultrasonic cleaner, so the carbs are going to go in there because I don't really know what I'm doing with carbs. I don't want to pull them apart any more than I have to. We'll see. I bought a set of wires to clean out the jets and stuff, but I don't want to. It was working when it came off. Let's not forget. It didn't all crap out. I don't want to do anything I don't need to do, basically. So then we got the gearbox to do. I think I'll do a separate bit on that. Midsection really just needs cleaning up. There's not much that goes on in there. It's structural as much as anything. Transom bracket. I'm not going to go back to the original steering. The original steering was cable, wound round a drum. There's the old dashboard hub. Might try and reuse that, but I think I'm going to go Teleflex. I put cable steering on. I did the boat up 20 years ago. I got it back on all 20 years ago, but with modern engines on. And I'm not trying to go back to completely original. It was bloody dangerous. The anchor points in the hull have rusted out. I just don't want to go back there if I can help it. So I'm going to go for Teleflex steering if I can, but that means I need to clean some stuff up on the midsection to get that to work, and I need to have a decent thread on the end for the Teleflex to bite onto. Not impossible. Then we got it's realistic. It's a realistic project. There we go. Minor disaster. One of the speakers has packed up, and we've got to get that sorted.
Bournemouth boosted their hopes of survival by
coming be better.
Behind to draw against Chelsea 2-0. The headlines again. The top civil servant of the Home Office has resigned and launched a blistering attack on the Home Secretary. The United States and the Taliban have signed a deal to end nearly 2 decades of conflict in Afghanistan. 3 more people in England have contracted coronavirus. BBC News.
I'm hungry. I am feeling a kebab coming on.
Is it civil war and Parliament over the civil service?
So, back home.
Agree.
Whoa! That couldn't have been much closer. Blackbird. Yeah.
And she's doing what we all do, which is exaggerate and elaborate
Limps
and
of
enjoy,
water.
embellishing
And there is
things
some water.
for the sake aren't the moment you meant to say.
There we go, back home
With
with speakers.
Thank you. Arrête tes conneries, j'ai pas le time. Et tant pis si tu trouves ça drôle. Tu fais galerie mais t'es pas de taille, t'es pas synchro. Quand tu fais une cover t'as pas le time. Avec un cello et pas de micro. On fera pas de feat sur ton album. Qu'est-ce que tu veux, je suis trop speed. C'est trop facile, je lâche une punch, ça t'inspire. Nous parle pas, on est trop speed. Pas le time. J'ai pas le time. Pas le time.
There's any chance of that coming out?
C'est pour ça, pas le time. Tu pourrais même me poser 10 plaques. C'est pour toi, pas le time. Et je me tape de ce que tu claques. Je suis trop speed, c'est trop facile. Je lâche une punch, ça t'inspire. Nous parle pas, on est trop speed. Pas le time.
Oh my god! Didn't expect that. So it's going to be a battle royale. Fucking hell. Might actually get that out.
J'ai pas le time.
Yeah.
Pas le time. Je me déplace pas pour rien, il faudrait que t'aies du lourd. Je me fous que tu m'aimes bien, je perds pas de temps, je perds pas de temps en amour. Tu me saoules à me trouver sweet et à faire des détours. Je veux toujours tout de suite. J'ai tout le temps à la bourse.
So that's the flywheel and the bit that bites onto the starter. Second coat of Genelite, trying to get the worst of the rust off before I start considering how to cover up the bits that come off. That's another little job done.
J'ai pas le time. T'aimerais qu'on chante, 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 chante. Vas-y, chante. Oui, chante. T'aimerais qu'on chante. Mais on n'a pas le time. When I'm at the bar, other people wanna try that. Give me some more. Try a little harder, honey. Give me some more.
Let's go, I'm a superstar. Getting busy with the boys, hanging at the bar. Everybody coming close, cause they all want me. You want it when you saw me. I like how you look, baby. Call me, call me. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me hear you scream if you want some more. Like push it, push it.
There we go. They are the gear shift, part of the gear shift mechanism, can't remember quite how they go. That sticks out. That sticks out the side of the engine. There's an interlock. I can't remember quite what. All will become apparent. Don't know what sort of music you guys are into. Got particular tastes, let me know. Always good to know. I do a bit of DJing on the side, hence the lights. But it's always interesting to know what people are listening to. I have no idea what my style is. I only go for labels. Is that a bruise? Is that grease or what? Just a wrinkle. Oh, it might just be a wrinkle. Can't just be a wrinkle.
Wind me up, put me down, stop me up and watch me go. I'll be running circles around you sooner than you know. A little off center and I'm out of tune. Just kicking this can along the avenue. But I'm alright. 'Cause it's easy once you know how it's done. You can't stop now, it's already begun. You feel it running through your bones, and you jerk it out. When you jerk it out. Shut up, hush your mouth, can't you hear you talk too loud? No, I can't hear nothing 'cause I got my head up in the clouds. I bite off anything that I can chew. I'm chasing cars up and down the avenue, but that's okay.
So we got 4 or 5 props for this boat actually, but that I think is the standard prop. Look at that, the days of 2-bladed props. So that's an alloy 2-blade. We then tended to use, or my parents tended to use, that bronze 2-blade as their normal prop, I believe. But we also have a finer pitch, very fine pitch really. You might tell me somewhere. 10, can't be 10, can it? Possibly 10-inch pitch, 3-blade, and that was for skiing. So it was slower, but it had more acceleration in the run. So is that really a 10 pitch? I have an alternative 2-blade prop that came with the other engine. I'll work it out. I'll work it out and I'll tell you.